And further up this road behind me, and as we were driving up here, I noticed some fresh tracks, so I slowed down, and then Senzo, who I'm teamed up with on camera today, spotted some of the Pride members snoozing in the shade over here. So I can see at least 3 individuals for now. I'm sure there could be some more dotted around, and I didn't see them too well this morning, so I'm not too sure if they're as hungry as the 2 that Noelle is with, but certainly good prospects for later on this evening. It's still quite hot though, so I think unless something kind of stumbles upon these lions, they're probably not going to be too active, but who knows? Noelle's lions are up and moving, and maybe if they are hungry enough, they will head off in search of maybe not only a meal, but also something to drink. Now, it's wonderful to have all the kids from Alanton Elementary with us, and you guys would like to know, how do you tell whether it is a male or a female? Well, when they're young, it can be tricky, and this one we're looking at here does look like a youngster to me. I can't be certain, but it probably is a young lioness. Basically, the differences between the lioness and the male lions is that the male lions will have a big mane once they've grown up, but even from around 2 years of age, they'll have a bit of a mohawk. So that mane will start developing from, like I say, about 2 years of age. But when they're younger than that, you just have to look under their tail, between their legs, to see what private parts they have. That's the best and safest way to be certain. Now, we've got really good prospects this afternoon. There's not just some lion on the property, there was also some leopard around this morning, a mother with a tiny young cub, and she was more successful than these lions with their hunting. She's managed to catch herself not 1 but 2 kills in the same place, so I'm thinking of heading off there a little bit later. Another question from the kids at Alanton, you'd like to know, how much can lions eat? Well, it can be quite a lot, and you'd like to know, what do they eat? Well, they can eat a lot of whatever they come across, and basically because they have to take whatever opportunities they can get, they'll eat anything from elephant, very occasionally, to buffalo, which is very tricky for them to bring down because it's very big, hippos sometime, and even smaller animals. Desperate lions will even eat something like a tortoise. And the same goes for a lot of the predatory animals out here, even the birds of prey, the lion, the leopard, and the cheetah. All of the hunters have to be flexible with regards to what they like eating because it's very difficult for them to catch their prey. It's quite common for us as humans to always think that it's easy for the lions to catch their food, but it really isn't. And 9 out of 10 times when they attempt to catch something, they actually fail. So the prey is better at escaping than the predator is at catching. There's no two ways about that. Very good. Well, for those of you who have just jumped on board this afternoon safari, it's time that we send you all the way back up to Kenya, to the Masai Mara, and we're going to be sending you up to Ralph.
Hello everyone, we're waving to you from the drone's eye view. It's super exciting. I'm loving it. And then of course we've got the lions in front of us here. Now we're gonna have to land the drone shortly, just so you're aware, so that we can re-put batteries inside and then keep going with our bird's eye view. And I'm just absolutely enthralled with this whole process. And these lions have figured out that it is a drone. They don't mind the noise. They don't care about anything that's happening. They're just resting away in the shade. So lions conserve their energy by resting. They sleep for about 16 to 20 hours a day, and they don't sleep heavy like we sleep. It's more of a little bit of a cat nap, excuse the pun. And they do that because they can't sweat. So they don't want to overheat their brains or their bodies, and so because they're covered in fur, and so they do this inside of the shady bits of trees, or sometimes if there's not a lot of foliage, they'll find sort of whatever little bit of shade they can, and if they can't find that much shade at all, they lay on their backs so that the whites of their bellies show and help reflect some of that heat. They're actually quite amazing predators. and they are an integral part of the ecosystem, especially here in sub-Saharan Africa. Not only do they take out prey that's sick or weak, but they also take out prey that's not sick or weak, and they help keep the genetics strong by making sure that they're working in conjunction with nature. And what I mean by that is when we go through something like a drought, when we have not enough rain, then the lions get a lot to eat, and then they reproduce nicely. Not that they don't reproduce nicely now, but they reproduce a bit more. Then what happens, so then the lion population soars. Then what happens is, let's say the drought continues, then the lion population will go like this, and it always ebbs and flows this way. And let's say it's soaring because there's a drought, that they'll take out a lot of especially the sicker and weaker animals, and then the strong DNA carries on. And then when the rains come back up, then those strong animals make even stronger animals, and then the lion population dips down, and then they have to build themselves back up, so that everything's in conjunction and working together with each other, so that the ecosystem is functioning fully. It's actually pretty incredible how Mother Nature works. Now, our drone seems to be flying around behind us a little bit. I'm hoping, we're going to land over there in the back. Landon, you would like to know how long have I been doing these drives. So Landon, I've been guiding. I've been going into my 11th year of guiding, and I've been with Safari Live for going on 4 months now. It'll be 4 months in February, at the end of February there. So I've been doing guiding for over a decade. And then I've been doing these special interactive safaris that we do with Safari Live only for a few months. But my friend Seb, that's on camera, has been doing this. How many years now, Seb?
Doing what, sorry?
How many years have you been with Safari Live now?
On and off, 5, 6 years.
Seb's been doing this for about 5 or 6 years on and off. It's pretty amazing. All right, now my friend Scott has another predator that he would like to show you. So let's head on over to him, and you guys can ask Scott maybe how long he's been guiding and how long he's been with Safari Live. Taylor, I am indeed a little bit closer than you, but I'm sure you'll meander down to your lions and get a nice view. Now, everyone, the lions that Taylor has and the lions that we have here are the same types of lions. They're both African lions, savanna lions. Panthera leo is their genus and species name. You get different lions outside of Africa in India, but there's only about 60 of them left in the wild. And the rest of them all in the wild all occur in sub-Saharan Africa. So everything south of the Saharan Desert, which is about 2/3 of the continent. Now, our drone's back and up and about. And there you could see us and where we're parked. And then there's our very, very sleepy lions. So the only other time I've ever had a view like this, other than the drone, was when I worked in Botswana. And so Botswana is on our northern boundary. South Africa is like this, and Botswana is just up in here. So South Africa, Botswana, Mozambique's over here. It's a little bit hard. I don't have a map, but we can try this way. And in Botswana, I worked in a place called the Okavango Delta, which is an amazing, amazing place. It's basically a huge wetland area, okay? And it rains in Angola, and then the rain filters down, and then our wintertime, your summertime, the whole of the delta fills up. And to get to our camp, which was far in the west, we had to fly these tiny little planes that fit about 2 people, sometimes 4 people. And you would fly, and you'd fly really low, and you could see lions like this, and you could see hippos in the channels of the water, and elephants. It's one of the most amazing things. So that's the last experience I've had. And so I'm really excited to be sharing my new experience of the drone with all of you today. It's too much. Now, everybody, if you have any questions about lions, please, you must send them through. And we love your questions, but also that question that you asked earlier about guiding, that was an excellent question. Anything you guys want to know, we would like to hear from you. So send them through your teacher. Ooh, good question. You all would like to know why we find so many animals near rivers. Now, it happens because in certain areas you have water just, say, in a river, or sometimes just in little pans or little dams, and east and impala, who need water, and buffalo, who need water every day. Elephants can go up to 3 days without water. Lions and leopards can get a lot of the moisture they need from the food they eat, but they eventually need some water, and so that's why you tend to see them around there. Lions and leopards you also tend to see near water courses because everything they eat, well, most things that they eat go towards water as well. And so that is one of the reasons why you see so many animals gathered there. We're very lucky as humans. We have piping systems that bring water into our houses. For many of us, there are still many people in the world who have to walk very far distances. There's places in South Africa, not far from where I'm sitting now, where people still have to carry buckets, and they walk down to the river and they fill those buckets with water, and then they walk to their house. So that still happens as well. So we need, as humans, need water. We constantly need water. I think we can go 21 days without food, but I think we need water. We can only go maybe a week or so without water, something like that. So our bodies as mammals, so mammals are covered in hair, and we have babies that grow inside and then come out as a baby, not as an egg. And those are some, and we also nurse our babies and provide milk for them. So that's mammals, that's us, that's the lions that are in front of me here, that's elephants, zebra, wildebeest, the warthogs you saw with Taylor, the leopard you saw with Scotty D. All of those things need to nurse. Even hippos, they nurse under the water for the most part. Something like a crocodile doesn't nurse their young because it's a reptile. Their babies are born in eggs. What else? Snakes also. Most of them are born with eggs and they don't nurse their babies, and that's one of the reasons how you tell the difference. And birds would be another way that you tell the difference as well. Now, something like a reptile needs water but doesn't need water the way that we need water. So crocodiles need water to sort of live in, but in our dry season, our winter season, they'll go and they'll something called aestivation. It's a type of hibernation. So hibernation happens when it's cold and wet. Our aestivation happens when it's cold and dry. So if you were to go to Arizona, for instance, you would get reptiles there that aestivate. And then they go into little areas where they make their body temperature very low. And then they wait in there until there's moisture, because without that sort of moisture from the rain or around or a little bit of water sources, then they do something called desiccation. Desiccation is basically dehydration. And then their skin doesn't function properly and their bodies don't function properly either. Alrighty, so I would like some... Ooh, sorry about that. Taylor, who's up in the Mara. So the Mara is in Kenya. It's about 1,600 miles away from where I'm physically sitting right now. She has found her lion, so I think let's head on up to her and you can see if there's any differences. We have some sleepy lionesses, and I would just like to say thank you so much to the Mara. They have wrapped for the day. They'll be joining us again tomorrow morning at 5:30 our time. And I would like to welcome any new viewers who are joining us now. We are coming to you live from South Africa in the Sabi Sands on Djuma. It's myself and Scott Dyson out on drive, and I've got Seb on camera, and Senzo is over there with Scotty. And I would also like to remind everyone about our live TV shows that are going to be happening from the 4th of Feb until the 8th of Feb live in the United States on Nat Geo Wild. It's going to be starting at 10 o'clock Eastern. Our very first one is going to be for 2 hours on the 4th of Feb after that very big game that will be happening on that Sunday. And then again on the 5th and the 6th and the 7th and the 8th, also 10 o'clock Eastern time. And during that time, we are going to be playing the ever-exciting Safari Bingo. Now, for the rules of Safari Bingo, you need to go to natgeo.com/Safari Live to find out all the rules and regulations. And the winner of Safari Bingo is going to win a trip for two to Africa on an African safari. It's very, very, very exciting. So it starts on the 4th of Feb at 10 p.m. Eastern. 10 p.m. Eastern in the United States, everybody. It's super exciting. All right, now our sleepy lionesses here have decided that they really don't care about our drone. We're giving our drone a rest for now, because what we want to happen in the next sort of half an hour, I would guesstimate, we're going to start seeing a lot more prey species making their way towards quarantine, which is the big open area that we're at. And the reason why they're going to be doing this is because it's an open area, and because the prey species cannot see at night. They need to use their sense of hearing and their sense of smell, and so they group together in an open area. It makes them feel more safe. So these lions are resting in the shade, which helps camouflage them, helps basically when you try and look into the shade, the depth perception's a bit off, and so they're lying there nicely. So any prey species that's coming from, especially from behind me, which is where the wind's blowing, is going to have no idea that these lionesses are here. And then also, as it gets cooler, it allows them to be more active. They've been very active for much of the day because they are so hungry. But for now, they're taking a very, very big cat nap. Then, once we start getting all these prey species around, hopefully the drone will be up in the sky and we'll be able to maybe get a hunt not only from our vehicle, but also from the drone, which will be super exciting. The only thing that could make this better is if a pack of wild dogs started running around near us. Seb and I were chatting before our last TV show in December about how cool it would be to get wild dogs on the drone. And what did Seb get on our live TV show last time? Wild dogs on the drone. It was amazing. And so hopefully that will happen again during our TV shows coming up. Or today would be fine. I haven't seen wild dogs in quite a while. All right, now there you can see the white bellies of the lionesses that we were talking about earlier. Now they'll use that when they're very, very hot, and they lie also with their legs open, and especially their back legs when they open them up when they're too warm. They're not doing it at the moment, but it's possible they'll do it in a little while. There's a main artery that's back there in the joint, and by opening their legs and also with those white bellies, it helps cool them down. But the temperature has dropped, not drastically, but enough that we're sitting in the shade, just like the lionesses, and that breeze coming through is making everything very peaceful. Not too many bird sounds around, but I'm just going to be quiet for a moment. We can listen to the breeze coming through. You guys hear that breeze? Oh, lovely. Gary, you are curious to know if when big cats poo, if they then cover it up like house cats do in a litter box. I've never seen them doing it. Usually they'll sort of get up and walk over and then poo and then go back somewhere near where they were lying down. Sometimes they're too lazy and they just sort of wee right where they are. Usually they have they move themselves a little bit, but sometimes if they're very full, they don't go too far to poo, and then usually they just do it and then carry on. They don't cover it back up. A lot of what they do when they're making those sort of cat marks with the scratching and the glands that come off their paws is they're actually doing a bit of scent marking. So they tend to stand and then they lower their haunches a little bit and then they scrape their back 2 feet and then they'll spray urine a bit. Mostly the males with the lions, but I've seen females doing a very similar thing. Not the spraying of the urine with the female lions, but a dribble of urine. Female leopards, female cheetah, they do the spraying of the urine as well as those markings. So cats have interpedial glands, so glands on the bottom of their paws, and they also have glands around their faces and sort of a smell around the face, so they tend to like rub their face against a bush, against a tree, and then they'll urinate a lot to help demark territory. I'm sorry if I'm squinting a little bit. The sun has reached a point where it's directly in my eyeball, so I'm trying to move around it. It's not. Yes, Seb's putting his arm in the way. Thanks, Seb. Ricardo, you're saying please don't rub their bellies while they sleep. It would be a bad idea. Ricardo, I agree with you. I don't think touching wild animals in any capacity is a good idea. Even if they are bred in captivity, I just think, yeah, no. Negative, X-nay on any of that. Wild animals should be in the wild, and just viewing them like this is perfectly fine. Ricardo, I agree with you. Now, let's say, Ricardo, for some reason I completely lost my sanity and my ethics, and I did decide to go over there. Just me stepping out of the vehicle would wake them up, and I would be breaking our social conduct code that we have with each other. So when I'm in the vehicle like this, I can come nice and close the way that I am now. When I'm on foot, their space bubble gets a lot larger, as does my space bubble. And so you don't want to, when I'm on foot, I don't want to get too close to do anything to them. They're possibly aggressive or move away. But then when I'm in the vehicle like this, I need to respect the fact that we've worked for a very long time to have them be comfortable like this. So if I'm braking, it's not the shape of the vehicle because they can see every single one of us, but I would be braking the idea behind me being in the vehicle, which encompasses me in this structure that makes them feel comfortable. When I'm on my own 2 feet, two things happen. One, I'm quite tall and imposing because I don't walk on all fours. Well, not normally. I walk on my normal legs. And then the other thing is that we have predator vision as humans. Our eyes are in front. They're not on the side of our head like prey. So not only are we imposing when we're standing on our 2 legs and we're tall, but we could also be seen as being aggressive with our predator vision and our 2 feet. So it would just be mean to them. So I'm definitely not going to scratch their bellies. Plus lions smell, Ricardo. I've been very lucky to be part of some conservation teams who have relocated lions into areas where they naturally occur, and for some reason or other, depending on which area it was, they no longer occur, and lions stink real bad. They don't stink as bad as wild dogs, but they do definitely have a smell. There's a lion researcher in Namibia who does quite a lot of DNA work on those Namibian desert lions. And one of the things he does, I can't think of his name just now, I'm sure one of you will know his name, he smells their feet. And he says, so remember we talked about those glands? He says each lion smells different. And that has to do with the scent that's there in the gland. It's like us, each human smells different. I have a friend who has a very good sense of smell, and I'm not talking perfume and body spray, but when you take that out, we all have a certain scent, and he can smell you. So it's not like you have BO, he can just smell your human scent. So we also have that, but you know, we cover everything up with other body sprays and perfumes and everything. All right, Scotty D is on the northeastern side of where I am, up in the corner, I believe. He's still around there at Biffleshoek Dam, or maybe he's moved, but he's driving around and having a look-see. So let's head on over to him, and see what he's up to. Scott, I'm so glad to hear that you don't think I have a beard. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, here's my thoughts on big cats and beards. A beard for a big cat would be, for lions, they have manes, right? So lions got a big mane. And the bigger and darker and more beautiful the mane is, whether it's a black tinge or a ginger tinge or a blonde tinge, that's what the females go for. Now, from a female human perspective, a nice beard is a good thing for myself and most of the females that I know. So I do think that there's an attraction there. So I wonder if possibly that the lions and leopards see someone like Tristan and Scott and are like, that's a nice looking mane. And maybe that's why they like them so much. You never know. Although I do know that Tristan's been having a little bit of problems with some of our leopards every now and then, because maybe his testosterone's too big because of his big manly beard. I wonder how Chuck Norris would do with lions and leopards out here, because he is Chuck Norris. And I'm trying to think if there's a Chuck Norris joke with lions. I can't think of one just now. If anyone knows a Chuck Norris joke with lions or leopards and something to do with his beard, please, please, please send that through. I will repeat that one on camera. Chuck Norris jokes make me laugh like a little 12-year-old boy. All right, so our lions have sort of started to move around and then not. Okay. GP 500 Bill, you're curious if I've ever been chased by a lion. So Bill, that's a negative because I've never run from a lion. You never, ever, 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 ever run. If you run, you are exposing your back part, you look like food, and that's it. I have been revved quite aggressively by a lion. I've had some extremely close encounters. One that resulted in a rather large bruise on one of my thighs because of a tail. Lions have a tendency to turn at sort of like a meter and a half. So no, I've never been chased. I have been stalked by young lions at a drink stop once. And I have been camping in Botswana. Oh my goodness. I had such a heart attack. I was camping in Botswana and we were in a little pup tent. So a little pup tent's like a small tent that you can just barely fit in. It's that like nylon material. And I was sleeping and we were lying there and my partner at the time was snoring away and I could hear lions and I could hear them and I could hear them. And then it's kind of like, okay, I'm awake. There's something around the tent. And then it's the lions sort of around. And then all of a sudden, because the way that the dome tent obviously looks, it looks like a large solid structure because they can't see on the inside. There was no lights on the inside. And it's also warm and it was very cold where we were. This lion lies on the side of the tent and it's just taunt enough that it can kind of lie like this. But now because it's so small, my arm is obviously right here. So this lion's basically touching my arm. So I'm laying there trying not to move and I'm edging my partner at the time going, wake up, and like trying to wake him up. And then finally he's not waking up, he's snoring away. So I took my finger and I poked it because I didn't know what else to do. And this lion got such a fright, it jumped and then obviously ran off. And as the lion jumped and ran off, my partner woke up and was like, what's going on? I was like, there was a lion like resting on the side of the tent. He's like, well, did you deal with it? I was like, well, of course I dealt with it. He's like, all right. And then turned around and went back to sleep. I was like, oh my goodness. So I think that's the closest non-conservation encounter that I've had other than that tail whacking scenario. There was a really great video that came out from the Kalahari Transfrontier. Well, Scotty D, I hope when you get to Tundi, she's a lot more active than our lionesses. It really is a lot cooler, and I'm very disappointed in their lack of movement, but I'm going to be patient, and we're going to wait and see. All right, Mrs. Grumpy, you you've given me a Chuck Norris joke. You're saying that a lion once put its head in the mouth of Chuck Norris. Oh, I love it. I love it. My favorite Chuck Norris joke is Chuck Norris's tears could cure cancer, but Chuck Norris doesn't cry. That's my favorite one. But I like this lion one very much. All right, Mrs. Grumpy, you win. You win for the day. I think I'm going to have more giggle fits than I did this morning picturing Ralph as Ace Ventura, Big Detective. And by the way, thank you guys for those gifts that you sent. They were hysterical. Uh-oh. Okay. Oh, I'm composing myself. Well, this is serious business, Safari. We can't laugh here. It's my non-laughing face. All right, Gemma, this is a serious question, says Curse. No giggling. Gemma, do lions see in color or black and white? So, Gemma, this is actually an interesting question. So, I'd always been told, taught, and read lions see in black and white and shades of gray in different bar shapes. And then I was chatting with a few other people about this, and one of the people I was talking about is a friend of mine that's colorblind with red and green, and he can sort of see purple and blue, but he sees in sort of darker shades and khakis and brown. And so he personally thinks that lions can see like that. And then I was chatting with James as well, and James was saying something similar. So it's interesting for me because you can do research on many things that we talk about here, and you're always going to find someone that's going to disagree, and you're always going to find something that says something completely different. I mean, take climate change, for instance. You can find a paper on anyone's idea on climate change and scientific stuff to back it up. So I'm thinking like the black and white and shades of gray mixed in with some of those darker brown colors. That's how I would imagine a lion sees. But they don't see color the way that people who are not colorblind see color, if that helps. There, now my giggles are gone. They're gonna come back just now. I'm picturing Chuck Norris's head now with a lion in his mouth. Maybe Chuck Norris will watch Safari Live and he'll come up with his own Chuck Norris jokes. I would like that. I would be amused. Maybe there'll be a Chuck Norris joke with elephants. I don't know how I got stuck on this Chuck Norris thing. Now, I'm also curious to know where our third lioness was. She was here when we started out on Game Drive, and I can't see her. So she's either lying farther back in the middle of quarantine, or she's just in the bushes a little bit farther off, and my eyesight's completely gone as I get older, and I don't know. But it is time for the greeting to happen. When they wake up, they yawn, they stretch, they groom, they touch each other, and they reaffirming of the reaffirmation. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you for my grammar kicking in. Reaffirmation of the social bond. It's basically like a big hug and a kiss saying, good morning, good afternoon, I love you. And then they'll do that sequence on and off for a little while. Remember, they're like diesel engines. It takes a little while for them to warm up, and then they'll move off. Now, those Impala and Nyala that we saw earlier really were not very far from here. And I'm actually surprised that we're not seeing them yet. And I have not seen our resident wildebeest yet either. So these lions better get moving if they want a snack. Although that being said, even though it's cooler for us, it's probably best if they maybe wait till it's a titch darker, because then they can see perfectly well, but everything they're hunting cannot, as we spoke about earlier. All right, please send more Chuck Norris jokes. I'm sorry, that was that was just too good. Okay, now, ooh, we've got another one. I'm waiting, cursed. I'm waiting with bated breath. Petru 26, you and Mrs. Grumpy are on a tie now. Petru 26, you're saying that Chuck Norris was once bitten by a snake, and after 5 or 6 days of agonizing pain, the snake died. Oh, I love it. These are too good. Keep them going. This is way too good. We can have a whole Chuck Norris themed afternoon while we sit here with our energy conserving lions, our very, very lazy lions. Oh, I love it. The snake died. Oh. I wonder where Amber Eyes is. I'm pretty sure she's still mating with that male. We couldn't find them this morning. We looked, there was tracks up by Biffleshook Dam. What? You guys have never heard of Chuck Norris? Walker, Texas Ranger. Oh, come on. Chuck Norris is a bad Mama Djuma. Chuck Norris is amazing. Walker, Texas Ranger, when I was a kid, was like the show. We weren't really allowed to watch TV. But if we were allowed to watch TV, it was usually for 20 minutes or half an hour, and it had to be a weekend. And it was either PBS, and we were watching documentaries, you know, where the cheetahs are running across the savannah and eating the Thompson's gazelle, or Chuck Norris or MacGyver. MacGyver was also a bad Mama Djuma. But yeah, Chuck Norris, Walker, Texas Ranger. And then he's been in all of those Kung Fu movies. And then the Chuck Norris jokes came out. But my favorite thing is that you can YouTube Chuck Norris reading his own Chuck Norris jokes. I love it. And then when I moved to South Africa, actually the guy that trained me, who's a very good friend of Steph's, also loves Chuck Norris jokes. And when I moved here, yes, this was probably about 12 years ago, or just under 12 years after I was living in Tanzania. People down here also really love Chuck Norris, and the Chuck Norris jokes were coming out. I used to remember a whole bunch of them. Some of them are very inappropriate, and I can't do on camera for you. Of course, those are the ones that I remember. Ooh, there's another one coming through. I like it. Okay, Kirst, I'm ready. Straight face. Guys, look what these lions are doing. There's impala that are close by that have not seen the lions. We've got the drone up in the air so we can try and get a bird's eye view of everything that's going on. But the wind is perfect. These impala know nothing. The lions are standing very, very, very still. The wind has just switched a little bit. And because the wind switched a little bit, the impala are now trying to figure out what's going on. Because they can't see them, they can just smell them from time to time. So I think our drone might have a good view in just a minute or two. We'll have to wait and see. But these impalas really don't know what's potting. And it's the lioness with the wound that's got her there. Okay, so you see those impala? The lions are probably 40 meters from them, so about 40 yards, just in the shade. There we go.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. There we go, just the other way. So there, stop there. You can see the lions. You can see our car, and then in front are the lions, and then the impala are there. They can't really figure out what's going on. So it's not just that group of impala, but there's also another group of impala that's a little bit farther down the road. And because the wind is swirling and bringing the scent of the impala around a little bit, the impala, some of them, not these ones here in front, but some of them are alarm calling, but they're not quite sure what they're alarm calling about. This is very cool. And then there's a Nyala, a big Nyala bull that's there. So I'll be interested to see, turn your bum away from a predator. That's what the predator's going to go for. So they're slowly going away, and we'll see. Now, Seb and I were having a little debate about whether or not lions would go from impala. I say yes, especially when they're this hungry. Carrie, you're saying this is the best drone shot yet? Yeah, I think this is a very cool drone shot. Oh, they're up. The lionesses are moving. You can see them moving. There's the impala moving. There's the one lioness is up. She's sitting up. She's watching the impala. The impala are coming around behind us. They're moving around. Okay, they have figured out that something is up because of the wind, but there's still some more that are here, including that big Nyala bull. And you can see the one that's lying down, and then the other one is sitting up, and they're watching. Now there's more Nyala that are, impala that are to where the one, where to our left, to our sort of north and east. And no one's figured out that these lions are here. They just think that something is going on because of this swirling wind. There's our tent that we do shows from sometime. There you can see the tent on the drone and a little bit of the DRC, so you can see that we're quite close to home. There we go. Our lions aren't quite sure which impala to look at or which way to move. They're both turning their heads and looking in every direction and trying to tell if they should go this way or that way. There's where Kirst is sitting inside the DRC. I'm glad no one's running around in the nude. That would be embarrassing. Where's Steph? Oh, guys, look, Steph's home. Steph, we've got lions. All right, now I think, Seb, if we can try and maybe get these impala that are on our left-hand side. There we go. So if we come back towards our car, Paula's saying, sorry, Kirst, I just missed you there. Go again. Oh, Paula, you're saying you love seeing the camp? I also love seeing the camp. So, Seb, if you come, move the screen down. Nope, the other way. There. No, sorry. You were right. You were right, Seb. Sorry, I'm dyslexic, remember? There's the other impala in the road.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry.
There they are.
Them,
yeah, see them there? They also can't figure out what's potting. But there's going to be a lot of confusion that's created here. There we go. There's also that Nyala bull that was around, and I don't think that he's moved too far off. I think he's probably hiding in the bushes. And I think the lions are just waiting and biding their time. There we go. This is really, really, really cool. And I'm just checking in front of us here. There's possibly some more in the bushes. The wind's now swirling again and pushing this lion's scent everywhere. All right, they have decided to not go for these impalas quite yet. There's a bit of yawning action that's happening. And as predicted, our impalas have... Oh, and she's going to lie down again. Our impalas have moved into the middle of quarantine. So I'm thinking that they're probably just going to wait for it to get a little bit darker. That's what I'm thinking. I think that they didn't get the opportunity they were hoping for, but that doesn't mean that they're still not going to hunt. And I still have not seen that Nyala bull re-emerge. So the last week, I think it was, we had these lionesses, these same lionesses trying to hunt a Nyala bull not far away from us. It's a good size for them. So we will have to wait and see if possibly they do it again. And there's more than likely some more antelope species that are going to pop up this way, because it's not just the impala that like the middle of quarantine, it's the Nyala, it's the wildebeest, and it's also the zebra. Now, Seb flew the drone over quarantine to have a look to see if anything had come up yet. As of yet, they haven't, but it should be happening soon. So we're definitely keeping eyes out here where we are, and also eyes out with the drone itself. Now, the lioness just here is lying down a little bit. The one behind her still has her head up. As we know, they sometimes take turns like this. And I think that if anyone starts to move, it's probably going to be the lioness in the back. She's yawned a little bit more than the one in the front, and seems to be a little bit more aware. It's hard for them, though, because this wind keeps swirling and keeps moving around the way that it is. It's difficult for them to start moving now when it's still light outside. Here we are. There's lionesses. We have some guys that are busy coming home. They're just going to go around us. So we're actually on the main road for the lodge, the lodge to get to and from the gates. And so, unfortunately, we've got a little bit of activity that's happening now, but that's all right. The lions are not perturbed. I'm not perturbed. The impala aren't perturbed. That's a really beautiful view there. It's gorgeous. Being able to use the drones on the drive is, for me, is really adding in a nice mixture for just views on safari. I don't know how all of you are feeling. I'm really digging today. All right, now Tandi's still calling for her cubbo, so I think let's head back to her and we'll keep doing what we're doing and keeping our eyes peeled. So the prospects for later on, I'm hoping for a hunt. These lionesses do need to eat, so I'm hoping that something happens, especially something on camera. Now, we've got a really beautiful sunset that's happening behind us, so Seb's just going to get the drone airborne again, and we're going to see what we can do for a view for you all of that gorgeous sunset. Oh, look at that. Yes. All right, shall we do our moment of silence with our beautiful landscape view? Yeah, the drone's a little bit louder than we like, unfortunately. But it was still a nice little moment we had there. And, I mean, this view is absolutely breathtaking. Look at that. It's like standing on a really tall mountain, watching the sun go down. Our lions are more and more awake. And now we're just trying to see if anything else is coming around. We'll have a look with the drone. It is pretty, hey everyone. So, what I find really interesting about this, with this drone, is that not only can you turn it around, but also the camera swivels to give different views. Tony, you're curious to know what time it is. Tony, it is, stand by one. It is just about 6:30 in the PM, so 18:30 roughly here by us. So Tony, if you're contacting us from the northern hemisphere, possibly in the States, I think you're 7 or 8 or 9 hours behind us. I think the UK is an hour plus or minus from us at the moment. Seb, can we get the moon at all, or is that not going to work?
No, won't work. It's too much. It's above the drone. I can't film above the drone.
All right. Tandi's still calling for her cub, so I think let's head back to her. And we'll keep an eye on our lions, which is absolutely fantastic. One's still lying down. The other one's going to pop up right there on the road. There we are. And she's looking towards where those impala went. Now, it started to get a little bit more dark. She's looking to where the impala went, but then she's actually going in a very different direction. So I, again, think maybe impala too small of a meal, although slightly surprised because It's Impala, and they're hungry. Now, as she moves, the other female will also move, and then the third female should pop up wherever she may be. This is very, very, very cool. And as this second female pops up, we're then not only going to be following them with the drone, but we're also going to follow them with the vehicle. And hopefully, if they keep walking straight down this road, they're going to end up in the open areas that are closer to Sandy Patch, and there might be some wildebeest or zebra there. And so we will possibly see that hunt we've been looking for. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep a close eye on them, just with their body movements and their behavior, just to see if they spot anything before us. So we're going to play follow the leader down the road. And if the drone might also see something before either the lionesses or we see it. You never know. I have to say this is a first. I've never followed lions the way that we're doing now and having a drone present. I've had a lot of guests ask, why don't we use drones to find the wildlife in general? Now, two things. One is you guys can hear the drone from time to time. So from a wilderness experience for the humans on board, it's somewhat distracting. As you can see, for the lions themselves, it's not distracting at all. They're blissfully ignoring everything. And then the other thing is that the wildlife needs to be able to move where they want to move, and sometimes that involves us not being able to find them, and that's okay. And then also, earlier we were trying to look for the rest of the Nkuhumas and couldn't find them with the drone, so it's not always 100% this drone movement. Now, what I'm actually going to allow happen is I'm going to let the drone follow them if they move into the block, and I'm going to take the road around. That actually makes my life a little bit easier. They're looking for that other lioness. They're doing a little bit of the and I believe everyone's saying, so cool. It is so cool. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to wave to everybody. Everybody, I hope you're waving back. I hope that was an automatic thing. They're calling for this other lioness, and she's not answering at the moment, but she could still be sleeping. That's a great view. They're looking around, and it's starting to get into that nice twilight time where their eyesight, look, their eyes are always good, but where their eyesight kicks in nicely. I'm just going to move us around a little bit. Sheila, good question. You want to know if we have sensors around our camp? No, Sheila, we don't. There's a little bit of a fence, but we never lock the gate. Fences. Fences. Sorry, Sheila. Yes, we do have some fences, but we never really lock the gate. And look, in general, we're so loud and noisy that the only thing that wants to come into camp and join us is something like a hyena. I am going to now just move around the road. We're going to let the drone follow those lionesses. And I'm not going to boonoo bash after them because I've got two screens now to be able to see where they move and how they move. It's interesting. Every now and then they have a look at the drone. Just depends on how much the drone's actually moving itself. I wonder if they're thinking in their head, this is a very interesting bird that's following us around. I've told some of you some stories about pied crows that used to chase and follow leopards around on one of the properties that I worked at. And they would do something sort of similar, but obviously much closer to the lions, to the leopards themselves. I'm just gonna pull around like this, and they should be popping out right in front of me, just down the way here. Beautiful. Seb KB would like to know how close the operator of the drone has to be.
I can be 500 meters away, even from the subject.
Seb says he can be up to about 500 meters away, max from the subject, so 500 yards, so 5 American football lengths away, and still be able to control the drone from where the subject is. Hello, my girl. You're going to come right past my door, are we? Of course you are. So everyone, that's very interesting. So we see, obviously, the lions walk past our vehicles a lot, but I want you to notice what I did with that. You saw it with the drone earlier, is I came around and I parked, and they didn't really deter from their movement at all. They just carried on doing what they were doing. And it gives you guys a good idea of how much we interact with each other in the environment and how much they really don't care, in general of what we do. All right, so Tandi's still looking for a cub, and she's still in her tree, but I think let's head back to her, and we will keep following these lions. All right, we've packed up the drone. It's a little bit dark, and also they've started contact calling for the rest of the pride, so I'm hoping we'll be able to hear that at some point if they do it again. And they're just doing what lions do, which is carrying on down the road. Walking in the straightest possible line, which for now is the road. There you can just see the drone in the corner. Sorry about that. The drone sits next to me on this little box. So I'm on Jigga. Jigga's our vehicle that we use with the drone. Oh, listen, listen. Oh, they were just doing it. There. Doing it very quietly. I'm going to just get a little bit closer, and then they're going to keep doing it. They're going, ooh, ooh, ooh. Let me just come up a little bit closer. Might be able to get it now. You hear it? She's listening. You hear that? We're not too far from where the rest of the bride is. Doing a very soft ooh. The reason why she's doing it quietly as well, she doesn't want to give away too much of her position, because obviously they're still hunting, or possibly hunting. Not physically doing it right now, but it's a definite possibility. Okay. Let's carry on with our follow me scenario, us and the lions. Everyone, don't forget, we're still live and interactive, so you can still send through your questions, Chuck Norris jokes included. Faye, good question. You're curious to know what happened with that lioness with her injury. So what I was saying, we didn't actually see what happened, but what I was saying is it looks like it's possibly something that happened during hunting. Not that another animal attacked her, but a possibility. And Tristan was saying that it had something to do with a tree, like maybe she got sort of stuck on a tree or caught in a tree, so it could have been during hunting, or maybe she was climbing. But it's right at a funny little joint, so when she lies down, wound actually folds up like this, and because it does that and then it opens and then it folds, that's one of the reasons why it still looks so bad. But it's looking much better from the first time I saw it in November, and then viewers who have been watching longer than that have been saying that it's looking especially better since they first saw her with the wound. So this pride of lions, the Nkuhumas, they're not always with us on this property. They move to other properties that we can't necessarily get to. So we've been lucky. They've been here now for about a week, everybody. Yeah, for about a week. And so we've been getting very, very, very nice sightings out of them, which is absolutely fantastic. This is actually quite a nice view. We've got the one right in front of us, and then the other one's already up the hill. Slowly walking and calling. I feel like I can hear hyenas way in the background. So lion's contact call is ooh, ooh, and then a roar is ooh, ooh, ooh. And then hyenas will do a whoop, whoop, whoop. All right, everybody, I believe that there's a hyena, speaking of whooping, around with Scott. And we haven't come across anything for these lionesses to eat. And we also haven't run into the rest of the pride yet. So I think let's head on over to Scott with that hyena and with Tundi. And then hopefully tomorrow morning, we will find whatever happens with these Nkuhumas tonight. And I will see you then.